Another Stoic truth that kills self-doubt is acceptance of imperfection. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that mistakes are part of being human. He didn't expect perfection, only effort. When you stop expecting flawlessness from yourself, you remove the biggest weapon doubt has against you: shame. Self-doubt often grows from perfectionism. You think, I'll start when I'm ready, or I'll speak when I'm perfect, but you'll never be ready in the way your doubt demands. The Stoic moves anyway. Progress over perfection, that's the law of confidence. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would visualize possible failures, loss, and hardship, not to scare themselves, but to prepare. When you've already imagined the worst calmly, the real thing can't shock you. This makes you fearless. Self-doubt fades when you realize you can handle failure and still move forward. The Stoic mind says, "Let it come, I will remain unmoved." This mindset doesn't just destroy fear, it breeds unshakable faith in yourself. Confidence to the Stoic is not loud motivation, it's quiet self-command. It's the ability to walk into uncertainty with peace, to act without needing reassurance. True strength is silent. It doesn't need approval, applause, or validation. It only needs alignment with reason and purpose. Epictetus wrote, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the ultimate test of confidence, to stand firm in your path even when others misunderstand or mock you. Because if your peace depends on their approval, you'll forever be enslaved by opinion. Lastly, the Stoics remind us that confidence is built in small, consistent acts of courage. Every time you face discomfort with dignity, every time you act despite fear, you grow stronger. You don't wake up confident, you train for it like a warrior trains for battle. Doubt whispers, "What if I fail?" The Stoic replies, "Then I'll learn." Doubt says, "What will they think?" The Stoic answers, "Their thoughts are theirs, not mine." That's the mindset that kills hesitation and builds inner authority. Confidence is not something the world gives you. It's something you reclaim from your own mind. The Stoics didn't wait to feel ready. They acted with reason regardless of emotion. They understood that self-doubt is a liar that thrives on inaction. The moment you act, you break its spell. So stop feeding doubt with delay. Do the thing. Say the words. Take the step. As Marcus Aurelius would remind you, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Another Stoic truth that kills doubt is detachment from control. The more you try to control what's beyond your reach, people, opinions, outcomes, and the more anxious and insecure you become. The Stoics flip this by accepting the natural limits of control. Some things are up to us, some are not, Epictetus said. Once you live by this, you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable. You stop overthinking every detail. You focus only on your part: effort, integrity, and calm action. The result? A quiet confidence that no chaos can touch. The Stoics also practiced the art of negative visualization, imagining the loss of what you love, not to cause sadness, but to cultivate appreciation and courage. When you remind yourself that everything is temporary, you stop clinging to fear. You start living with clarity and strength. You no longer waste energy worrying about what might be taken away. Instead, you invest energy in gratitude for what's here now. The gratitude builds inner power, the kind that no amount of doubt can destroy. A true Stoic knows that confidence is earned in private, not performed in public. It's built in the quiet hours of reflection, when no one's watching. When you sit with your thoughts instead of running from them, when you face your insecurities without denial, that's when transformation begins. Stoicism teaches that peace comes from alignment between thought and action. If your values and actions match, you stop feeling like an imposter. Self-doubt disappears because you finally trust yourself. And perhaps the deepest Stoic truth of all, your mind is the only real battlefield. The world outside can be chaotic, unfair, even cruel. But your mind decides whether you suffer or stay serene. Confidence doesn't mean the absence of storms. It means the ability to stay calm through them. When you master your reactions, when you control your interpretations, you take back your power. No insult, no failure, no rejection can destroy a man who governs his thoughts with reason. In the end, Stoic confidence is not about pretending to be fearless. It's about facing fear with wisdom. It's knowing that fear will visit, but you don't have to let it stay. The Stoic learns to move forward, to keep acting, to keep striving even when the voice of doubt tries to whisper otherwise. Because confidence, like courage, is a choice renewed each day. Confidence for the Stoic isn't built in comfort. It's forged in discomfort. The modern world teaches you to chase ease, to avoid failure, and to hide from pain. But Stoicism flips that idea completely. It teaches that comfort weakens you while challenge strengthens you. Every time you face something hard and stay calm, every time you feel fear but act anyway, you sharpen your inner blade. The Stoics didn't seek safety. They sought strength, because they knew that self-doubt grows in the soil of comfort. When life is too easy, your spirit becomes fragile. When life tests you, you discover what you're truly made of. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayal, and the crushing pressure of ruling an empire. Yet in his private writings, he reminded himself daily to stay grounded, to focus on reason. "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over," he wrote. "But it stands firm, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." That's not just poetic, it's practical wisdom. When doubt and chaos hit you, stand firm like that rock. Don't resist the storm. Outlast it. This mindset builds a calm, silent confidence that can't be shaken by opinion or outcome. One of the greatest sources of self-doubt is comparison. You see someone who seems more talented, more successful, more confident, and suddenly, you feel small. The Stoics destroyed this illusion by teaching that comparison is meaningless because every person walks their own path. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, stop explaining yourself to the world and start living your truth quietly. The more you focus on becoming your best self, the less you care about how others appear. Real confidence doesn't need to prove itself, it just exists. Seneca wrote that no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. The Stoics didn't see adversity as punishment. They saw it as a divine opportunity. Every difficulty is a test of your soul's strength. Self-doubt says, "Why me?" Stoic wisdom says, "Try me." The difference between the two is everything. One mindset retreats in fear, the other advances with calm courage. The Stoic doesn't deny fear. He simply refuses to let it control him. He understands that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. To kill self-doubt, the Stoic also practices detachment from praise, because as long as you crave validation, your confidence will depend on others. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that fame and recognition mean nothing because even those who praise you will soon be gone. Soon you will have forgotten the world, and soon the world will have forgotten you. That realization isn't depressing, it's liberating. When you accept the shortness of life, you stop living to impress. You start living with purpose. You act not for applause, but for excellence. Another Stoic truth is that your emotions are signals, not masters. Fear, doubt, and insecurity aren't enemies. They're reminders to return to your principles. When you feel fear, it's your cue to slow down, to breathe, and to question your thoughts. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotion. He studies it. He asks, "Why do I feel this way? Is this within my control?" By examining emotion through reason, you rob it of its power to rule you. That's how you transform anxiety into awareness, and awareness into action. Stoicism also teaches that confidence grows when your actions and values align. If you act against your conscience, you'll always feel weak inside. But when your life reflects your inner principles, honesty, discipline, courage, patience, you naturally feel strong. That's because you no longer live in contradiction. Self-doubt thrives in hypocrisy but dies in integrity. The Stoic builds his confidence not through achievements but through character. He knows that even if the world misunderstands him, his conscience remains clean, and that's enough. Perhaps the most powerful Stoic truth of all is this: you are not your thoughts. Your mind will produce doubt, fear, and insecurity, but you are not those things. You are the observer behind them. The Stoics practiced this detachment daily. When a negative thought appeared, they didn't panic. They said, "It's just an impression, not the truth." Imagine the strength in that mindset, to see your fears and not be owned by them. That's how you gain control over yourself. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the mastery of perspective. At the heart of all Stoic teachings is action. The Stoics believe that wisdom without action is useless. You can read, reflect, and meditate, but unless you act, you'll remain stuck in doubt. Confidence grows from doing, from facing what you fear. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, your self-respect grows. And self-respect is the foundation of confidence, because when you keep your word to yourself, You start to trust your own strength. In the end, self-doubt is not a curse when it's an invitation. It's life's way of asking, will you stay the same or will you rise? The Stoic always rises. He doesn't seek certainty. He seeks strength. He doesn't wait for courage. He creates it. He doesn't beg the world for approval. He earns his own respect through discipline and calm persistence. Confidence is not found in noise. It's found in silence, in control, in purpose. The Stoic stands firm no matter how loud the storm gets, because he knows one eternal truth. The mind that masters itself can never be defeated. When the morning light touches your face, you're standing at the border between what was and what can be. The world feels quiet, yet full of unseen challenges waiting to test you. Most people begin their day with distractions, scrolling through noise, chasing comfort and letting chaos dictate their direction. But the Stoic begins differently. A Stoic morning isn't about control. It's about preparation. It's about aligning your mind before the world demands a piece of it. And this alignment begins with a few timeless affirmations and thoughts that serve as armor, calmness, and clarity before the battles of the day begin. The first affirmation is simple yet powerful. I control my mind, nothing else. Every day brings situations that try to pull you out of your peace. Someone's words, traffic, disappointment, or failure. Most people react, but the Stoic remembers this truth. Nothing external can touch the mind unless you allow it. The weather can be harsh, people can be unfair, but your response is your power. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that he would meet people who are selfish, arrogant, and ungrateful, yet he chose calmness, because he understood that his reaction was within his control. So when you wake up, whisper to yourself, I control my mind, nothing else. With that thought, you step into your day untouchable, steady, and centered. The second affirmation, today I will act, not react. A Stoic doesn't live on impulse. He lives by choice. Life will test your patience, a sudden argument, a plan that collapses, or an unexpected delay. But strength isn't about avoiding these things. It's about meeting them with awareness. When you say this affirmation, you remind yourself that you are not a puppet of emotion. You are the sculptor of your own behavior. To act, not react, means to pause before emotion dictates your next move. It means to think before you speak, to observe before you judge, and to choose peace when anger whispers otherwise. This habit transforms your day, because every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate mastery, not weakness. The third affirmation, discomfort is my training. Most people run from discomfort. The Stoic welcomes it like a teacher, whether it's waking early, facing rejection, or doing what's difficult. Every form of discomfort is an invitation to grow. Seneca said that a soft life makes a weak soul. By embracing discomfort, you sharpen your inner blade. Each morning, remember, if something feels difficult, it's not a punishment. It's practice. When the water is cold, when the road is long, when you feel resistance, say to yourself, this is my training. Because strength is not born in ease. It's built in endurance, one moment of discomfort at a time. Self-doubt is one of the most silent destroyers of human potential. It sneaks in softly, whispering that you're not good enough, not ready enough, not capable enough. It convinces you to play small, to hide your talents, and to avoid challenges that could shape your destiny. But the Stoics, men like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, understood that confidence is not a gift you're born with. It's a discipline you build through thought, control, and action. They believed that doubt is a product of misplaced focus. When you spend your energy worrying about what you can't control, you create fear. When you shift your focus back to what you can control, your effort, your thoughts, your reactions, you create confidence. Every time Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, he wasn't trying to sound wise. He was battling his own self-doubt. Despite being emperor of Rome, he still questioned himself daily. But he reminded himself of something deeply Stoic. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength the moment you remember that your thoughts are under your control. You begin to silence doubt, because self-doubt feeds on uncertainty, on the illusion that you're powerless. Confidence grows when you accept responsibility for your inner world. The Stoics taught that your mind is your kingdom. When you allow fear, anxiety, and self-doubt to sit on the throne, they rule over your emotions and decisions. But when reason takes its place, everything changes. Confidence is not arrogance. It's clarity. It's knowing that whatever happens, you'll handle it with calmness and reason. Seneca once said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That's exactly what self-doubt is, imaginary suffering. It's a mental rehearsal of failure before anything even happens. You imagine rejection, humiliation, and defeat long before they arrive. The Stoic approach is simple but profound. Stop predicting failure and start practicing strength. Epictetus taught that no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Confidence, he said, comes from independence of thought. When you stop measuring your worth through others' opinions. Most people live chained to comparison. They doubt themselves because they keep looking sideways instead of forward. The Stoic refuses to compete with others. He competes with his former self. Each day he asks, "Am I better than I was yesterday?" That's real growth, and growth is where confidence lives. The Stoics also understood that emotion without discipline is chaos. When you let fear control your decisions, it poisons your progress. When you train your mind to stay calm under pressure, you unlock a quiet kind of confidence, one that doesn't shout but simply knows. Imagine a storm raging around you while you stand still, unmoved. That's Stoic confidence, not loud but powerful. It's the strength of stillness, the courage of composure. There comes a time when self-doubt becomes more than just hesitation. It becomes a habit. It becomes the background noise of your life, quietly telling you that you're not capable, that others have something you don't. The Stoics knew that this kind of thinking is a slow poison. It kills ambition, destroys peace, and blinds you from your true potential. That's why they trained their minds daily, because a man who cannot control his thoughts will never master his destiny. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about being unshakable. When life throws uncertainty at you, when you fail or get rejected, you don't collapse, you endure. You learn and you rise again. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. That single line holds the key to breaking self-doubt. When something goes wrong, your first instinct is often to feel unworthy, to think that you're not enough. But the Stoic asks, "Can I endure this?" And if the answer is yes, then there's no reason to fall apart. Confidence isn't the absence of pain. It's the presence of strength within it. Every obstacle becomes a test of your endurance, and every test passed adds another layer to your inner armor. This mindset shifts you from victim to warrior, from doubting to doing. Self-doubt often grows when we attach our identity to outcomes. When we fail, we don't just see it as an event. We see it as a reflection of who we are. The Stoics destroy this illusion by separating the self from external results. They taught, "You are not what happens to you. You are how you respond." Once you understand that, failure loses its power to define you. You can lose money, relationships, opportunities, but you don't lose yourself. That's confidence at its purest form. The calm recognition that your worth remains untouched by circumstance. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The Stoics welcomed difficulty because they saw it as the training ground of the soul. While others ran from pain, they leaned into it, not out of recklessness, but because they understood its value. Every challenge becomes a forge. The heat of adversity burns away weakness, and what's left is resilience. That's why Stoic confidence feels so different. It doesn't come from ego or success. It comes from surviving what should have broken you. Epictetus reminded his students that confidence comes from preparation, not pride. The man who doubts himself often hasn't trained his mind or actions deeply enough. The Stoic, on the other hand, builds discipline daily. He doesn't wait for motivation. He builds systems. He practices gratitude, reflection, and self-restraint. He questions his impulses before acting. Slowly, this mental discipline becomes second nature. Confidence then stops